I used to think that I should only share the end product of my work. And it wasn't until I read this book that I realized I've been omitting a lot of things that are actually shareable. Okay, this is a new concept for me completely. One, I'm outside. It is early. Even though there are not a lot of people in the area, I'm still a little nervous. I'm not sure why. It's kind of ridiculous, but I'm outside, challenging myself to do things that are outside of my comfort zone. And this book, Show Your Work, have actually taught me how to put myself out more by sharing the things that I do create. Thanks, helicopter. Lovely, lovely morning. Anyways, because of this book, I realized that I have been holding back a lot of things that are actually shareable and that people would actually be interested in. And thanks to this book, Austin Kleon, you are a freaking genius. I have come up with my own cycle of work, from the task to the idea generation to the making of the thing to the final product. There are all different separate stages, and that means there are different stages that I can show my work without burnout, because we don't do burnout around here. The concept is actually simple and it's very smart, because if you don't look at your work as, hey, this is art and I only have to share the end product of this, then you start documenting your process. And then when you document your process and what you do at the end of the day, then that becomes more shareable. Somebody's about to walk past. Oh, that was nice of her. She actually went behind the camera. Oh, thank you. Okay, again, with the nervousness. Why am I nervous? I don't know. This is ridiculous. Oh my God. Anyways, moving on. Remember when you were in math class and your teacher always said, show your work, show your work, show your work. Don't just tell me the answer. Show how you actually arrived at the answer. I can't believe I'm actually using a math analogy to explain this, but it makes perfect sense, where that's the concept of it. Show how you got to the end product instead of just showing the end product, because if you don't show how you get there, people won't understand your process and how it came from the idea to the final product. It's kind of crazy that this is really the concept, and such a simple concept as well. And we've kind of been taught about it since we were younger through math. But when it came to art and things that we think come from our soul and everything, it's like, hey, we have to hide that process, because people are going to steal our ideas and people are going to make us feel like they can take anything from us. But it's like, if someone feels like the idea you have is worth stealing, then you have a great idea. So I feel like we shouldn't be... Somebody walking past again. I feel like we shouldn't be scared to show the steps that we take to get from idea to final product, because that's an inspiration to someone who would like to start and don't know where to start. And because you put it all out there to show them that, hey, this is how I do it. This is how I move from an idea that I get. These are the inspirations that I do have. And this is what I'm doing. It can help somebody else who's interested in doing that to actually start. So ignore all of that thing where it's like, oh, you have to hide what you're doing while you're doing it. Yeah, if somebody wants to take it, let them take it. The greatest thing that I love about Brooklyn and brownstones is that you can just go around and sit on anybody's stoop and they don't care. They come out, say hello, go about their business, and then you just continue. So I'm continuing. Somebody just literally came outside to throw out their garbage. Listen, I'm doing this, okay? Comfort zone challenge. Anyways, as I was saying, if somebody wants to steal your idea, take it as a compliment, really. It's up to them to what they do with that idea. Now, if they steal your idea and do everything the exact same way that you do it, then they're just robbing themselves of learning a really valuable lesson. And honestly, you can't do anything about that. So just let them be. Eventually, they will realize that what they're doing is kind of crappy. Cheaters never win, anyways. So you just keep doing what you're doing, keep sharing what you're sharing. If they want to copy, that's up to them. Yeah. What I realize also is that it is impossible for someone else to copy exactly the same way that you would do. Because what I would do is completely different. Even if I do the exact same thing, it's going to come out different because I'm way different than you and you're different than me. So if you look at it that way, no one can really copy you because it's kind of impossible. Don't be scared to share it. And this is kind of advice for myself as well, because I used to hide everything that I would do and I would never share anything. And it's a big disservice to others who want to learn. It's like, hey, this is how I do the thing. If you want to learn how to do it, just watch how I do it and do it your way. That's the helpful part about it. Something happens before you start the idea. That's kind of why it's important to show the process, because when you share a project from idea to final, you actually include a lot of people in the process of creating that thing. And people really appreciate that a lot more because they feel like they go on this long journey with you, no matter how long it takes from start. Mosquito, leave me alone. From start to finish, you want people to be as invested in the things that you create as much as you are. Given there is not a lot of people who really care, and most people just want the end product. So, hey, everybody have their own part of the process where they will come in, but someone will always appreciate what you do from the start. I feel like that is one of the most important parts of showing the process because it helps to build that community around that certain project that you're working on. It's not only just yours. It's not your baby anymore. It becomes everybody's baby because it's like you can take feedback and critiques throughout the process where you're like, hey, I was thinking of this. Should I go forward with this idea or this idea? Where you cultivate that community where it's like, hey, this is my idea. Let's create this thing. As much as we think like we know everything, we do not know everything. And most of the things that we do create, we're just guessing along the way. So it's like if we have constructive feedback on what to do and how to go forward when we need it, because we don't always need it, we just go with instincts. But it creates such a different thing than what we envision in our head, where it's like, hey, this is the idea that I had, but it became so much more because of the community that I opened it up to and everyone actually giving their ideas and their input into it. And it makes it turn into a beautiful thing where it's like, hey, we created this together. And that gives people a sense of belonging, you know? Jesus, mosquito, leave me alone. Showing the end of the project kind of always bring confusion, especially if your last project is like completely different from the one that you're about to embark on. People won't understand. They're like, oh, well, the last time you did, and this happened to me with one of my projects as well. It's like the last one I put out, people are like, oh yeah, I love that. And then the following one after that, they're like, well, it's way different from your first one. I don't think I really like it. And it's just like, yeah, but it's on me. And the second one is more me, but the first one is like me collaborating with somebody else because I didn't know what else to do at the time. But the disconnect there was I didn't bring people along to show that, hey, these are the things that inspire me. These are the things that I want to do. And these are the things that I'm actually going to do. And this is how I'm doing it. That would have made such a difference where it's like, oh, okay, so this is what she really likes. And this is what she's created, right? Yep, it got me. It got me. Okay, there are a lot of acorns falling around, and they're falling because there are a lot of birds in the tree. And there's a lot of mosquitoes. Anyways, the goal is to have people care about the things that we make. When you share the process, when you share the ideas that you have, when you share the inspirations that you have, it makes people care more about the final product. I'm actually doing that a lot more, where it's like, hey, I'm going through the idea of what I'm going to create and brainstorming that and coming up with the ideas of how I want to structure it, like this. I'm actually trying to outline my podcast a little bit more instead of like ranting aimlessly. Even though I do have outlines that I kind of loosely work with before, because I know I can go on a tangent and just talk, 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 talk. But what is the point? And that is the question that always comes right back around to where it's like, okay, I started talking about this. Did I make my point? So creating the outline for the next one and all the pointers that I do want to hit is kind of imperative to the process. So what I'm doing right now is I have the outline of everything that I want to cover in the podcast. I'm going to refine it a little bit more. I want visual cues. So when I'm actually recording the podcast, I can easily look at the page and know where I am and where to continue. There's an actual rat on the fence under the tree. I was going to sit on the other end and I looked up. Just for whatever reason, I looked up and the rat was just there like, I'm here. This is my home. Please go. And I'm like, sorry, I didn't mean to disturb you. With every project, there is a certain cycle that happens. And it's not until I really started digging into the process of how the work actually turns out that I found this cycle. The cycle is actually pretty easy. It starts from the task. Then it goes into the idea generation. Then it goes down to actually making the project. And then it goes up to the final product. Now, each of this is a different level of thinking, a different structure, a different everything. When we start with the task, you're basically starting saying, what is the end product? What is the product going to look like? What is it going to sound like, if it has sound or anything? What is the end product? My tasks are YouTube videos, the podcast, and blog posts. Those are the big tasks. And then under that, that's where social media comes in after. What is the project? My project is the task. The task is the project. Yeah, you get it? What happened that sparked an idea for me to create a certain topic to speak about? Giving the example of the podcast, that's all shareable. That's literally what the book says. It's all shareable. I read this quote and this actually made me think of something that I do want to elaborate on. What is that quote? Where did you find the quote? Who wrote it? Those are all things that you share. Ideas are generated from what we see and what we read, mostly from everything around us. When we start sharing that more, we give people more of a chance to be like, if I wanted to read that book that you're reading, sorry, work. If I wanted to read that book, then I can go get it, because what I got from Show Your Work is not the same as what someone else is going to get from it. I was able to create my whole structure from it, starting with the task. So the task, getting back on topic here, the task is, what is the project? Now, actually, I was on idea generation, past the pod. Okay, moving on. To create this whole thing, it started with this book, right? So if somebody else wanted to go read this book, they can, and they may have something completely different spark for them. For me, it revealed my process of how I want to move forward with projects. For somebody else, it can do something completely different. We're all different, so it's like we take different things from the same thing. So we can all read this book, but it doesn't matter. that's what just drove past, and the driver actually just like made eye contact with me the entire time. Anyways, we can all read the same book and get different ideas from it. So don't be scared to share the books that you're reading, because somebody else may need it, you know? Another part of the idea generation is your reason. Why are you making this project? What sparked the idea to make this project? Why does this project mean something to you? When you share why it means something and you share your passions about it, people are able to connect more. Again, it brings that sense of community where people are able to see that, hey, this person is not just doing this just to do this. They actually like doing this. So I want to be a part of that. Give them the choice to be a part of that, where they understand that this is something authentic and it's not just, hey, I'm just doing this because I have to do something. No, that is never a good reason to do anything. Share why you're doing things. My reason for doing the podcast, not because you asked, but hey, I'm going to tell you anyways. I want to share all the things that I've learned and that I'm learning. And this book in particular, Show Your Work. And actually, I have all three of them. I completed... I completed all three. And I'm excited about that because it's something that I've wanted to do for years. And I feel like there's such a good read that I want to share what I've learned from that with you who actually want to listen. So that's my reason and my passion for doing the podcast, for doing the Dear Joe videos, is to show my travel and to show the experiences that I have when I go different places and when I explore, because I love to explore. I feel like I'm a world explorer. No matter where I go, I'm always exploring something. And I feel like those experiences are gifts to you where I would want to share that with you. So I do that as well. And then my blog post is the nerdy part of me where I'm just like, all right, these are the things that I've learned and I'm going to share it with you how you would want to read it. So they're all different reasons why I choose different tasks to do. And that's what I'm passionate about. So when you find those things that you love and you share that with somebody else, then that's you fulfilling that passion. So moving on, when you actually get to the point where you start making the thing that you're going to make, that's the next in line, making the thing. What are the first steps? When will it start? What should you do? When is it going to finish? What does the journey look like from starting to finish? All of that is shareable. All of that. You know how when you're working on something, how you run into obstacles, you run into challenges, you run into all sorts of things that you never saw coming, but they made the project so much better. Those are all things that you can share. And I feel like that's what we need to share a lot more. And that's basically what the book is saying to share, because that's the journey of it. I read somewhere once ago where it's like the story, heard it from Rihanna, the story happens after the thing is made. It's after the journey, you went through the journey and all that, and you're looking back on it. That's where the story starts. You can make the story, because going into it, you don't have the story. People are like, oh, share the story, share the story. Yes, but while you're doing it, you don't have the story yet. When you get to the end, that's when the story is fully made, and that's when you can share the story fully. But along the way, there are things that happen where you're like, whoa, so this insane thing happened today, and this is actually how I dealt with it. Those are shareable things that you can keep doing and keep sharing and keep people in the loop of what you're actually doing. And because you're doing that, you're showing more of your work, and the more work that you show, it's like the more credibility you have, because you're not waiting until something finishes 2-3 months down the line before you're like, boom, hey, I did this awesome cool stuff, and then there's this 1 or 2 posts about it, 1 or 2 blog posts about it, 1 video about it, and then nothing after that. That one big thing that took you 3 months, say today is 30 days in a month, right? So that's 30, 60, 90. That is 90 days of things that you can share, given if you work on that thing for every single day of the 3 months, which most of the time we are doing, because whenever we start working on a project, it doesn't matter if we go for a walk and we find something that triggers something that has to do with the project. We're just like, oh, I can move that back into the project. I can actually transform what I've seen and make it into mine. And those are the things that are shareable. So that is 90 days work, 3 months. That is 90 days work that you can show to basically prime and prepare people for what's coming. You don't have to share the end project alone. Share how you got there, the journey. The journey is what matters. It's like we've been taught that, yes, the end goal is, to give all. Everybody wants to go on with the gold. Yes. Everybody wants to show the gold. Yes. But what did it take to get from the start to the finish? That's where your gold is. So what are the lessons? What are the obstacles? Where did you learn all of that? That's what you need to share more. And that's how you start sharing more every single day. The making part is gold. Share more of that. Share the process. Share the writing. Share, hey, I saw the grass today and it looked so green and so perfect. And I thought, hey, that would be an actual great color to go into my art. So I took a picture of it. I got the color and everything from it. And I'm going to incorporate that into my art. Those are things that you share. It's like, hey, I'm inspired by the things around me. Who doesn't want to see that? Unless it's somebody who don't really care, but then they wouldn't be watching your stuff. So who cares, right? So show more of that. That is how you compound, you build. One day build the other. And you create such a tight-knit community from doing that. That's what I'm in the process of doing. And I can see how it's going to change everything. And I've actually been posting a lot more on Instagram. I know I left Instagram a few years ago and I was like, I'm never going back, because honestly, it was very toxic. I was like opening the app multiple times within a minute. For what? I don't know. So I was like, you know what? Let me just get rid of this and free my life. And I basically did that. I'm back on it now with a purpose. And the purpose is to show more of my work. Basically treat Instagram like a portfolio where it's not the end product only. It is the products that create the end product. It's the scrapbook of my projects. That's kind of what it is. I like that. Scrapbook of my projects. I should write that down. So moving on to the final product. What is it? What does it look like? What does it sound like? Literally, what is it? What are your thoughts about it? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Do you love it? What could you improve on? What are the next steps? Those are the things that you share. Those are the things that will push your next project into start mode. Because we normally, when we get to the end of one project, we're just like, well, what next? We're not sure. We kind of walk around in a daze and all that. But it's like, use what you could improve on the last project to create the next project. So I just realized that my mic actually died and I have no clue where it died, but I'm just going to continue. So if the audio sounds terrible after a while, I am so sorry. I should have changed it. Anyways, if you made it this far, thank you. And you've also made it to...
Just go. It's just meet me over there. Whatever side works for you, I'll bring them there.
You've made it to the victory circle, where I celebrate your wins for the week. Because this is not about me. This is about us and us creating this community together. It is about us not celebrating all our wins because we feel like the only type of wins that deserve celebration are the big ones. And that's simply not true, because if we don't keep encouraging ourselves throughout the week that, hey, we are actually moving forward, we're never going to think that we're growing. And that's not true because we're always growing. So during Victory Circle, I've asked on Instagram, what is one thing that you are most proud of doing this week? And I actually got 2 responses. So thank you guys for sharing. Marvin said, going to the gym 4 days in a row. Laugh out loud. Honestly, that is nothing to laugh about because going to the gym consistently has become such a hectic thing to do, especially in the summertime when all you just want to do is be outside. So that is worth celebrating. And oh my gosh, I am so proud of you because that is amazing. Okay, keep going, keep doing strong. You are amazing and you're an inspiration, and that is worth celebrating. So we are celebrating you this week. Thank you for sharing. And the next person that actually shared said they are planting the seeds for how I can make a living while doing something I love. That's from Nicole. Thank you so much for sharing. It doesn't matter how small of a thing that you've accomplished. And that's the reminder of all of this. One, Nicole, you are choosing yourself over everything, and you are choosing to do something that you love as a living because you don't want to feel like you have to work to live, right? And that is the beauty of it. When you feel like your work is something you would be doing for free anyways, life becomes a lot easier and a lot more fun. So I commend you for going forward with that, and I am so proud of you, and you deserve all the flowers and all the cookies and everything that makes you happy. Thank you for sharing, and that is a wonderful accomplishment this week. Yay! If you want to do more of what you love, like Nicole and Marvin, thank you again. You just have to find the resources that will allow you to develop that mind process to where it's like, hey, I can do this. There's no one stopping me but myself. And I'm always going to do this because this is what I love. That is when you really become the person that you want to be. So let's all just embody that perfect, sometimes insane person who just does whatever they want and living authentically for themselves, and that way actually providing that space for other people. Let's all become that version of ourselves together. So yeah, thank you for watching, and this was Video Chat with Jody. I'll see you next time.